assassination that took place November the 4th, 1968, with the spirit of Harry Tucker, who was an 18th century highwayman. The medium was Leslie Flint. My name was Harry Tucker, and I stole a few gold coins. Times have changed. Everything's changed. There was an old place round here that I used to hide out. That's all gone. I have no desire to come back to your world. I'm a different fellow now. I'm a happy man. When I was on your side, this was all fields. There was an old place called the Brawl, where I used to hide when things got a bit too hot. I used to go down to Hempstead. That was about 180 years ago. Unlike many others like me who met the gallows near London's Marble Arch, I cheated them, didn't I? But I wasn't exactly a highwayman. I didn't like it when I passed. I remember sitting in the inn. I was getting on a bit then, and I'd got a little bit tucked away, but I died. I remember coming down the staircase with not a soul about. Didn't know I was dead. I thought I'd get a bottle. The innkeeper didn't know that I used to go down to help myself in the night. They never missed it. I went down at about 3 in the morning. I remember hearing the church clock strike, so I got my hand in the cupboard and went to get hold of a bottle, but I couldn't pick it up. The more I put my hand around it, the more difficult it was. Then it suddenly struck me. Coming down the stairs, it was as if I didn't feel my hand on the banister and my feet on the stairs. Didn't feel any weight. I thought I was dreaming or sick, so I went back to bed. I went upstairs and I opened the door, but it was as if I'd walked through it. I thought I must be having some sort of a nightmare. I go to the bed and see a man there. I thought I'd gone into the wrong room. I saw moonlight streaming down through the window into the bed, and I could see this man's face and thought, God, he's like me. Then I could see it was me, and I started running down the stairs shouting like the devil was behind me. I ran up the stairs and banged on the doors, but no one took any notice. I flew down the stairs, opened the door of the inn, and flew down the path shouting. I ran down the road across the fields and stopped at the river. I sat down on the bank. I realized there was something different about me. I didn't feel the same. It was now daybreak, and I was sitting on the edge of the bank, and I could see the water and my reflection. I looked like a young fellow, I thought. This ain't me. I thought there was someone behind me, and I turned around, and there was no one there. I got up and walked many miles. A carriage went by, and it was full of people. I could hear people gather around me, but I couldn't see them. But I could hear them talking and laughing. I could hear their footsteps. I looked behind me and I couldn't see anyone. I could see people doing ordinary things, passing little cottages. I saw people banging their carpets and collecting eggs. I could see cows in the fields and people on horseback, but they couldn't see or hear me. I could hear people behind me. I could see those that were still on earth, but I couldn't see these other people that I knew were behind me. It was like a big crowd of people, and I knew they were there, but why were they following me? Why could I see other people that were still obviously on earth and they couldn't see me? I remember feeling hungry and came to a place where I could find something to eat. I could hear people laughing, and as I went in the door, I could hear them behind me and quickly looked around, but no one came in. There were other people inside, and I sat down and banged on the table for attention, but no one took any notice. Someone was eating a pie as I kept banging on the table. No one took any notice. I went up to the fireplace and called out to the man, "Come on, I want something." He didn't take any notice. I realized they didn't know I was there. I left, and when I got to the door, I could see hundreds of people. There were men, women, children, and even dogs all stretching across the road. They were all laughing, and 2 people came forward, and I recognized them. One was my father, who'd been dead for around 40 years. He came laughing. I'd never seen him look so well. Red-faced, happy, jolly. There was my sister, who died many years before. They said, "Come on, we've been following you, waiting for you, but you weren't ready. You couldn't see us. We didn't know we was there." We've brought all her old friends. I looked around and saw all these people I'd known years ago. My father was a very religious man. Oh, shocking he was. That's why I ran away from home when I was young. I suddenly realized that something terrible had happened. They took my arms and pulled me through the crowd. They were all singing and sounded like a choir, but they weren't singing anything religious. It was happy, bright, and colorful. Everybody looked well dressed, and the hair was beautifully brushed. I looked at myself and noticed I wasn't wearing old clothes, but was wearing a plum-colored suit with nice breeches and shoes, and I realized that I was different. I realized their thoughts towards me had helped me. We went up the road singing, and I'm laughing. I was happy and merry and lost my hunger. We reached the top of this hill where I looked down, and in the distance was a great city, beautiful buildings, all lit up, bright, shiny, and new. It was as if the walls were made of jasper and pearl. I was now outside an entrance to a castle, but not like any castle I'd ever seen. It was huge, with turrets. The gates opened by themselves, and I seemed to glide through. I was now on my own, and yet I wasn't. I was conscious of a very tall person beside me, but I couldn't see him. I had the feeling he was a knight. It was as if he was a wonderful soul full of light. We went up a great staircase and along a big balcony. We came to a door and went in. It was as if this door opened on its own accord, and there was a great big hall with large tapestries on the wall, beautiful colors and needlework, and there were several ladies sitting there in old-fashioned costumes. There was a man who I thought was a king, and he looked old. He was sitting on a big chair that was raised up while the ladies were sitting around. I felt a lot of warmth coming from him as I walked down this hall, and as I got near him, he stood up and beckoned me forward. He said, "Now you're here, you shall see for yourself how you have prepared that which is your home." I remembered all the things I'd done. I'd never really hurt anyone, thank God, but I'd robbed and thieved a bit. There were hard times, and it was as if all my life had come back in front of me. He beckoned me to follow him. We went down a long corridor, down in the dungeons. We went down this long, illuminated passage. It came to a small room where there was a man sitting at a table. I looked at him as I went in, and it was me. As I was confused. This person said, "This is as you were." I said, "How do you mean, what I was?" He said, "You were like a man in a dungeon you created for yourself, has shut out the things that mattered. But this is no more. This is no longer you, because this is a reflection of what was. But what is and what is to come is what matters. You created for yourself a dungeon of darkness around yourself. You shut out the light because your mind wasn't open. Now you shall learn, and I shall help you to learn. Come, I will take you elsewhere." I went back up many steps and came to a large hall. The ladies were still there, and one of them came forward and took me by the hand, and I was transformed. I looked at her face, and it was a face that I'd never forgotten. She was a girl I knew in my early years and was very attached to. We looked at each other, and I realized my life could have taken a different path. I would have been a different person. I wouldn't have gotten into bad company and taken up the road. If she hadn't died when she was a young woman, we could have married, and I would probably have been a different person. I'd have worked on the farm or something and supported us. But she died, and that's what really turned me against everything and everybody. She said, "Now you can start all over again with me. I'm to guide you and show you the way." I walked with her out of this great castle, and we came to a small cottage on the verge of a town with a thatched roof with a low wall around it. There was a beautiful feeling that I'd come home, and yet I'd never known this place before on earth. As we entered, she looked different, and yet she was the same. Her clothes changed, and instead of this beautiful elaborate dress, it's got a very simple cotton dress, but she still looked the same to me. She'd been waiting for me all this time, trying to get me on the right path.